participants, kindly ensure your audio is muted and video is switched off throughout the session for a smooth, uninterrupted run. Please use the chat box for any questions you have for our speaker, then be duly addressed during the question and answer session. The e-certificates will be provided via mail to the registered participants at the earliest. Feel free to contact us through the mail ID given in our brochure. Small cheer and great welcome make a merry feast, said Shakespeare. And who better than our cheerful, vibrant director in charge, UG and PG courses of the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, Professor Dr. V. Balaji, sir, to welcome all. Sir? Yes, ma'am?
Abraham, the registrar sir will be welcoming.
Registrar
sir.
Okay, ma'am. I am sorry. We have our respected registrar, Dr. Ranjit Omen Abraham, to welcome us all. Sir, I kindly request you to commence this feast of knowledge with the welcome address.
Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So it is a great privilege on me to welcome all for this wonderful, most expected webinar, which I know personally that many hundreds of students were expecting. This is related to career opportunities, and also we have not simply to say the best, but the best speaker to talk on that. That is our own alumni, our own student, and it's a great privilege, prestige, and also it is so happy to have Divyadharshini IAS top 2010 to be part of this resource person to speak for the benefit of the student fraternity of our university. I take this opportunity to welcome Divya for this program where she has agreed to speak on all the career opportunities, all the issues related to preparation and focus, and also with reference to how they'll have to take the confidence level when they have decided to practice for this preparation for this examination, and also for the with reference to the time and what timeline they have to do. So many issues are there, and I'm sure Divya will be giving us all types of information for the benefit of the student fraternity. Also, I take this immense pleasure to welcome our Honorable Vice Chancellor, without whose encouragement this program would not have been possible. I also welcome the director, who's presently not available due to another meeting, but he is also very much after he has taken over as a director, School of Excellence. Balaji sir has been very, very encouraging to the and the family, doing a lot of innovative programs. I welcome Kumuda Madam, our HOD, who has taken the, in spite of being a business, in spite of being where we normally do programs connected to business law, the madam was very particular that we need to do something for civil service aspirants, and we requested Divyadharshini IAS to come and speak. And if not for Kumuda Madam, I'm sure Divya Madam, who's a very busy person, she would not have agreed. I myself personally requested her many times, and because of a busy schedule, she always said, "Sir, next time." And so we have to really thank Kumuda Madam, who had the patience, perseverance, endurance to again and again, get connected to Divyadharshini IAS, because we need her, because we need her to speak to our students, because we need many IAS toppers in the coming years, and that is what all our hearts want. So obviously, Divyadharshini would be the right person, not only to talk today, but even to talk in future in many occasions for our university, for our students' purposes. Thank you, Kumuda Madam, for arranging this. My special thanks to Harita Madam, who is a co-host of this program. And if you see the beautiful brochure, if you see all many important work, Harita Ma'am's hand is there in that, and she has been working hard for the success of this program. I thank all the other faculties, all the other members of teaching, non-teaching, and also especially the students this program will be happening now, but for the past 3 weeks, a team of students are working a lot. You could see Deepika as a moderator, but she started to work along with many other students who work for spreading this program. And I think we have a very good uh, response. A lot of students have joined, and many are joining also. The credit goes mainly to the speaker for her eminence, and everyone is eagerly waiting to learn a lot from what she's going to speak. And I'm sure, Divya, that today today will be a day, very important day, where many would start deciding to prepare for civil services. My advance thanks for that. So I thank all once again. I welcome all once again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the gracious welcome. It was indeed heartwarming. Great leaders,
Deepika?
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Great leaders do not set out to be a leader, they set out to make a difference. It is not about the role, it is always about the goal. If I were asked to name one person who has actively been the reason for making a difference, I would name only our beloved Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. T.S. Shastri sir, who has been an eminent example for leading change. I consider it an honor to invite you, sir, to deliver the presidential address. Sir has had another meeting, so we'll be moving on for the felicitation. Felicitation serves as an inspiration to others and a motivation for the person being felicitated. It is my pleasure to invite Dr. Kumudaratna, Head of the Department of Business Law, the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, to felicitate and honor our guest before we begin the webinar.
Thank you, Deepika. Um, it's my pleasure to welcome you all. A pleasant afternoon to each one of you all who are already present here and also to those who will be joining here. This program, we organized this webinar with Divya mainly for three reasons. One, the pleasure for us is welcoming her back, bringing her back to her academic home. That is one main reason. And the other thing is, I came to know that many of our students, present students, they take pride in telling that they are UPSC aspirants and all that. They are preparing for the exam and all that. So I thought that if you know the very best and their akka, their senior itself is coming and giving them guidance and tips and you know the techniques of how to prepare and present for the exam and all is so much inspiring and motivating for them. Not only helpful, but that is more important, inspiring and motivating. Their own Akka Soilite is coming and telling all this. That is nothing more than that. So that was one reason. And another reason is if you see in the school, the students, there are I see two categories of students. One students is one category, they'll study well and everyone will know they are toppers, they study well and all that. You know, they'll be in mood, etc. and all that. Another category of students, they equally study well, they are toppers also, but they will be so silent about their, you know, doing their work silently, quietly and all that. And that is how Divya was. Divya, of course, she had a set of gang of, I would say, 5, 7 students. And the first speaker, Divya, in this alumni series they both also were very good friends. That's a set of friends. So they will enjoy quietly in their own way. Apart from that, you won't know anything about Divya. She'll be so quiet and mild and all that. But she was a topper in the sense she was amongst the first five in her class all the time. And this was not even known to many of the faculties. When it was announced in the news and all that, that she has topped the UPSC exam, many of the faculties, my colleagues itself, start wondering, Divya, what was she in studies? Was she a topper, medium, average, like that? Many of the people did not even, know at what level she was. I would frankly say, I always tell honestly what I do and think. Even I did not know she was within the first five rank and all that. I know she studies well. So, like that, there are students, there are UPSC aspirants here already, but there are students in our school who are like the silent toppers, whom others would not be knowing. And this is aimed at them also. You people have a doubt that maybe we cannot do the UPSC exam and all that. That should not be the case. And when you look at your Divya Akka, you must understand that it is not about what others tell about you. You are doing well, you are a topper in your institution. Yes, you can try for the UPSC exam. And another thing I would say is each and every student of the School of Excellence in Law, they have the capability of appearing and passing in this exam. Why I'm saying this is, unless you people in plus two have earned mid 80s and above, you would not have earned a seat in the school. So that itself, you have already achieved and established that you study very well. So each of you can, you'll be inspired by Divya's speech now. So each of you can, have that aspiration of trying for the UPSC exam and of course passing also. So these were my three main reasons why I wanted Divya to come for making a presentation and motivating her juniors. And regarding Divya, I'd like to reminisce about some incidents. Sorry, some incidents in our school. See those things and all. At that time, I noticed all the students, of course, but when after they pass the UPC exam, when you look back, okay, these are the traits we found in the student at that time itself. So like that, a few things. What I found is, sorry, what I found is that one thing was she had a lot of patience. At that time, I knew she had patience, but connecting to this now, I'm saying, so you people should have a lot of patience. How I say is, uh, during the assignment submission, you all should be knowing. All of you people will come and fall upon me and
But civil service requires certain amount of dedication and also deals with various perspectives of almost various perspectives of knowledge in different fields is required. Particularly for law students, civil service is the most suitable service because the district collector is not only an administrator but also a judicial. As a judicial head, as a judicial head, as a district magistrate, the district collectors are supposed to deal with the various aspects. It's not only at the entry level, at the higher level, like secretaries. We don't give much importance to law and legal education. Though we started law schools and law universities in the country, most of the students are going to corporate sector, which is an unfortunate, pathetic, unfathomable situation in India. I don't strictly asking me. I ask law students not to go to any profession except to legal profession. Because in the coming years, we need a huge number of lawyers, not CRPC, CPC lawyers. We need global lawyers. Think in a globalistic perspective, CRPC, CPC, not in your bail plea or accidental case perspective of law. Why I'm saying this? Because don't think that this is not the correct platform that I'm not speaking. Even an administrative officer, an administrative service like Indian Administration Service requires legal professionals. Of late, as a Vice Chancellor, when I see some of the replies given by some of the people, some of the IAS officers, some of the presentations that are made, they may be good, excellent in their job, but the presentation style is completely different, which has a lot of loopholes and other perspectives. If you see an administrative officer with a legal background writes a note, it will be entirely different. This is what I found out. Because recently I have seen some reply given by one particular government, I don't want to name it, senior IAS officers, cabinet secretaries, which has lot of loopholes. I called and told them, what a kind of reply that you are giving. You save the government. You have to save the administration. You have to support the backbone of the policy makers. Unfortunately, in India, except a few, about 10 to 25, 20% of the officers, 80% of the administrative officers think that the administration cannot run in this country without them, which is false. I'm sorry to say this openly. This trend has to change. Because I'm very happy that our own student Divyadharshini, or many of them are from the legal background entering into civil service. I'm extremely happy. You see, these people's presentation or understanding of a problem will be definitely different than the non-law administrative officers. Definitely there will be a change. I can challenge, I can urge. Because these people will understand and apply the legal-centric perspective to the administrative matters, which is required and the need of the hour. Because in our country, legislations are drafted by administrators than by anybody else. It is not, no academician, no researcher is consulted, only just mere by consultation, and legislation is drafted and presented in the legislature. Unfortunately, the legislature passes the bill without discussion. Then you see flood of litigation in the courts. That can be addressed successfully by legal professionals who are administrative officers. Definitely. There will be a change. There will be an understanding perspective, interpretative perspective, legal bias and legal means will be taken into the perspective of administrative documents by administrative officers when they are occupying prime positions, particularly the administration. Because the administrators, the secretaries, are one of the backbone, vital bone for the administration. There is no doubt in that. But when that note comes from a legalistic perspective, it is different. So legal students have to do it. And there are issues that how do we present, how do we make up, how do we do? I think Divyadharshini will tell you all of those things of her experience, presentation, and the interview board, that how the UPSC conducts the interview and others, which I don't want to share in that. We have seen in the interview committee how people react to the questions. You may be successful because students are not aware. Small petty issues and other things they do in universities and colleges, their names are registered in the police stations in FIR. After I came as a Vice Chancellor, I have seen to it, not even a single student is entered into FIR. Here I would like to tell the students, we had a teacher by name Y. Rangara when I was studying my +2. He was selected as an IAS officer in those days, in early 60s, late 60s. But when it came for inquiry, in a student issue, his name was there in the FIR, so he was disqualified. Students doesn't know. Because students, particularly law students, should be able to solve the problems. Instead, they create problems now in the country. And it's unfortunate. Recently, I came to know the law students doesn't know that there is a syndicate in the university, there is a senate in the university, there are judges in the syndicate senate, and the university is an autonomous body which it decides. Just simply they go to court and file a case. Why do you waste money of yours and the court and the university, everybody, when you have a grievance redressal mechanism available in the university? And nowadays, technology-driven fashion, they write letters and emails, this, that, everything. You act. Nobody can act on emails. You have to come. You have to represent. You have to talk to the authorities. You have to learn the skill of discussion. That is all not done. Unfortunately, this is the cropping situation of law students in the country. Most unruly students are the law students. I'm openly saying that in the entire country. But most productive students are law students only at the same time. If you put your arsenals of law, what you learn in practice. Because for civil service is concerned, number one, dedication is required with a goal consciousness to do. For law students, writing civil service exam is very easy, provided if you prepare. One of my friends has become an IAS officer without studying anything except newspaper for 15 years. This is truth. And recently, I read in last year I read that in Andhra again, another person, a poor family person, became an IAS officer. Now he has been under the training in Shimla. But again, he also, he narrated. How far it is true, I don't know. Apart from other books, I studied only the newspapers. Newspaper reading is very important. It gives a wider knowledge. Thinking process, development process, argumentative skill, various other skills are required. Because in an IAS examination, either it is a prelims or main, you need to be very sharp, crisp to the question. Because I have seen IAS examinations, preliminary as an examiner, mains as an examiner, interview board as an expert. We have seen at different stages, I have seen the civil service exam. That's why I'm able to tell you. The answer to the question should be straightforward, hit perspective should be there. That you have to learn even in the university while answering your question. Because recently, I'm openly telling friends, don't mistake me. At least my idea is only to drive you to studies more. And always 60% of the students study. We can't expect in a classroom of 100, all 100 will be great. Only 15 to 20 students will be good. Rest will be middle, various levels will be there. But without studying anything, loitering and seeing Google and writing the exam will result. All my colleagues also know. Last year it happened. If you ask what is property, instead of writing the ingredients of property, property is nothing but property. If you write, property is no property. Why I'm saying, everybody has a vision or ambition to become an IAS officer. But it needs certain parameters like constant, consistent reading, constant, consistent analytical perspective, constant, consistent discussion. Nowadays, students doesn't discuss subject. They discuss about movies and other things, but not the subject. It's across. It's not only law, all subjects. But a law student is more advantageous compared to other students. The law syllabus of civils is very crisp than what you study in 5 years or 3 years. And it requires a timing manner, a time phrase, and various other perspectives. And if you can know the interpretation part of the law, you can crack the exam in your first attempt itself. Because in IAS examination, particularly in mains exam, in law, what the examiners will look for is what the student understood the question and what the answer to the question is given in an appropriate, short, precise perspective of maybe 300 to 500 words or 1000 words maximum. But in law, we write pages and pages in the examination hall, filling, writing the question paper, repeating the various things is not the situation that is required for IAS examination. So we need concentrated perspective, concentrated effort that will help a law student to deal with various perspectives and understand the prime perspective of law. There are a lot of books are there. Recently, a book has been launched that crack an exam of IAS for a law student, wherein it is stated time management, appraisal perspective, critical outlook, discussionary perspective, attentive perspective, analytical perspective, and thinking perspective. Because in an interview, you are not given much time. One of my friends who cracked IAS examination all the 3 times, in those days only 3 times. So 3 times he cracked the exam. He went to the finals, to the interview, all the 3 times he failed in the interview. All the 3 times. He is now a professor, resigned that job also. Now he started his own school and a college. He failed in the interview 3 times. What he realized later, he produced a good number of IAS. He could not become an IAS. Because you need a perceptional goal, a perceptional thinking, answer to the question immediately. That is, sharp presence of memory and mind is required to act on a situation. Because a flood is coming. An IAS officer is called and summoned immediately. It is in the initial stages, it is the additional collector or the district collector who are interested in this job or a COVID situation. How do you deal with the various perspectives? That can be cracked by a law student. But for that, law students should have an ambition to enter into civil service, should start from the first or second year onwards. Read the judgment, optimization, analytical perspective, how the classes are taught and what the research techniques are there. If these aspects are mastered by a law student very easily, cracking IAS examination is very easy. And I definitely encourage majority of the students, apart from the profession, to go to administrative service, because there also your services are required in drafting the legislations, GOs, ordinances, various things which are highly intricate in nature with a simple legalistic perspective. A law student can better do than any other student. Not that science students and others cannot do. They are excellent. The officers are there, I know. But they take a long time. Whereas a law student can equip easily, can do it easily, because they have known the half of the business of the administration already in the classroom of the law. And this has to be applied. If the administration, executive and the legislature are pure legalistic perspective, judicial work and judicial litigation, judicial pendency automatically will come down. Why? Because while interpreting, the administrators interpret differently without understanding the legal nuances of a particular scheme or a particular policy, which leads to litigation. Today in India, 65% of the litigation is because of the defective legal interpretation of policies. State is a party, either union level or state level. In every court, every high court or the Supreme Court, 65% of the litigation is by the state only. Unnecessary egos, unnecessary perspectives, because the officers are not able to interpret the pervasive perspective, what the legislature wants to do. That can be done by a law officer. I'm extremely happy because of various commitments. I'm not able to be there all through. Otherwise, I would have been enriched myself to listen to Divyadharshini's lecture. I would be very happy and I'm very thankful. And you should emulate not one IAS officer. Hundreds of IAS officers should come from our university. That is my aim. That is every teacher saying. You should be coming flourishing so that the state and state perspective will be taken. If you take America, why American legislations are good? Because majority of the secretaries or majority of the administrators I've seen in Europe also are having legal background. Legal background is helping you to draft the legislation very clear perspective. In international law, if you go to any international office, they will be compulsorily given one month training every 2 years in the secretariat in the legal wing to understand the legal perception. That's why UN documents are very crystal clear, simple and plain reading documents without complexities. Complex compound sentences or phraseology should be curtailed. Simple, idealistic, legalistic perspective should come into legislation. Definitely the litigative process will come down. It will save the costs of the legislature and the executive, and we can do better services. And I'm happy that Dr. Kumar Ratna, Dr. Harita, Dr. Ranjit Abraham, and all of them could get the time. Actually, Madam Divyadharshini was supposed to deliver this lecture long back, but due to COVID and other things and due to examination, various other things, it has postponed. I'm thankful to her. Again, in spite of the busy schedule that she has, she agreed to do its mentor. In this way, all the old students, I appeal. Today you are a student, tomorrow you may be an alumni. Alumni should come forward in abroad. You are all great thinking of Harvard University, Yale University and other universities. All those universities are great, not because of their faculty, but by their alumni. The alumni's contribution. You need not contribute professionally. Like this academic debates, academic sharing, consent to the alumni definitely will help the alumni to develop its standing and bringing its perspectives and discharge its perspectives, what it is meant for. And an alumni should give back to the institution at least what they learned academically, if not financially. That can be done. In India, unfortunately, we expect concessions from the university than giving money to the university. It is a reverse trend in our country. Whereas in abroad, the alumni contributes to the university regularly. Whatever they have $100, at least $5 they give it to their alumni. But here in India, there are so many, my colleagues, Harita and others know, when we wanted alumni to come back and establish an association, they sent a demand list that we need a room, we need AC, we need this much money. To establish alumni, you need university money. I never expected this type of alumni associations in academics. That is not the way. The way is help the institution to grow further your future generations. So this is longer run help of social justice, what Dr. B.R. Ambedkar advocated in the Constitution can be achieved. Social justice means not extending concession by the executive, but by extending concession by the individuals in various ways and means to the society. And the students through their institution is also a social justice perspective, which will bring in various perspectives. Of course, I've given a very ordinary interpretative perspective, though I have various other perspectives academically to discuss on civil service importance to our law students, but due to lack of time and other things, I don't want to go into the details. And with these few words, I welcome Divyadharshini once again, and I'm extremely happy that all the students, some of them are judges, some of them are lawyers, some of them are in various other corporate and other sectors. Please come forward to deliver lectures. We are looking forward our own students. We don't need always eminent experts. Our students are our experts. Our students are our advisors. Our students are our mentors, because our students are our torch bearers. With this flagship only, a university can grow, a university can develop, a university can sustain. With these few words, I once again welcome Divyadharshini, and I wish all the students all the best. And I wish and thank my colleagues for arranging such a wonderful topic, which is the need of the hour, because again, the civil service is coming soon. So the students can be gained by the advice of your own seniors, colleague, your own senior, than a new person, a mentor of your own university is delivering the lecture. With these few words, I welcome you all, and I wish many more programs with many more students of the alumni will be organized. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening and inspiring us as always. It is true that our profession is one that needs to enter all fields of governance. I believe this webinar will inspire all our students to do the very same, sir. I now request Dr. Kumudaratna ma'am, head of the Department of Business Law, to introduce and felicitate our speaker of today.
Thank you, Deepika. As I was telling already, when you are preparing, first of all, you should have patience, I think. And then you should have that aim, constancy of aim and effort. And I was telling about, you must not give up when there are hurdles or setbacks and all that. The best example, you can take your Akka Divya itself, because in the first instance, preliminary, she didn't move forward. But, the second time, what happened? He became an all India level topper. So, like that, when you have a setback, you must have that goal that I will do even more better and I will achieve and show to myself. So, you must not be pulled down by any setbacks. You must, you must increase your level and you must step up your level of hard work, intelligent work, and that finally you must achieve. That must be the goal. And okay. So now, next I would like to say about these are the traits I saw in video, like she becoming an IS officer and all that. How she had the patience, the perseverance, and all that. But once you become an IS officer, I would like to believe that each of you will become in such a case. What are the traits, the characteristics I'm seeing in Divya that you people, each of you should emulate? I would like that to happen. I'll just tell a few of them. First is humility. Humility in the sense, see, when now, but once you become an IAS officer, at some point of time, you'll become a collector also. Anyway, everybody will be putting salam to you. They'll be standing up and all that. Automatically, without your knowledge, that pride will come. So you must always be careful that you don't have that. The humility aspect should be there. Then only you can serve, to your utmost. That you can learn from your senior Divyaka. She's humble to the core. That's what I would say. And another aspect is gratitude. Attitude of gratitude, they say, is it not? Even see, what did I teach her? Nothing at all. Maybe 5 semesters I've gone to her class, and amongst all the students, she was one of the students. But the gratitude level that she has, for her lecturers and all that, that is something. And when she passed, she became. She was called. She came to the institution and she met Vice Chancellor, then Vice Chancellor, and Vice Chancellor called all the faculty, to sort of felicitate her. I don't know, I think I was doing some work in my team. I didn't go. And she came all the way to me and she was speaking with me for some time and then went. And every time the gratitude aspect, every time I see, even yesterday, see Deepika, Divya, I'm going to tell all this about you. Is it okay? She said, ma'am, you can tell anything about me. And I was very sure if we invite her here, she'll definitely come and help her juniors. That level of gratitude you must have not only to your tutors, for every person who helped you grow and go up the ladder. That should never go from you. That is one aspect. And another thing is you must be approachable. Okay, there are many people who will become IAS, IPS, and then they'll just they'll go from the scene itself. You can't even find where they are. That is another thing you must learn from Divya. She's most approachable for anybody her classmates as. I think all of them. So that also you must have it in your mind. You must be always approachable to everybody, irrespective of the classification and all that. And another thing is simple lifestyle. Okay, you when you become an IAS officer, you'll be earning a salary definitely. So you must have such simple taste that you live within your means, within your salary, and you must be able to be proud about it. Whatever expenses I do, it is within my salary. That should really be in you. That is another thing I learned. I'm observing from Deepika. Okay, simple lifestyle from now itself you cultivate so that when you'll be getting so many temptations, I'm certain about it. But your salary within that and your saving also in that, like that, you must have a simple lifestyle. That again from Vidya only I'm telling. And another thing is, when you are studying now, you want to become an IAS officer, you'll be having so many motives for that. But I would say whatever the motives you have till now, from now you have only one single motive, that is to serve the people, the downtrodden people, BPL sector and all that. Once Divya told me that, ma'am, I would like to be in a position where I can, make what do you call plans and execute them and all that, so that it will be helpful for the downtrodden people. And more than being in a higher level and all that. So that like that, the aim should be to serve the people. That is why you are going to give back to the society. That is how the aim should be, and not for any other, perks and all that. That's what I would say. And another thing is, you must also aim to have a blemishless record, blemish-free record throughout your career. That should be one of your aspirations from now. What you're thinking now, when I become an IAS officer, what all I'll be, that only will happen actually. That's what you're training your mind. Self-talk, this is it not. So you must aim to be a blemish-free officer. That is one thing. And also consciously, you must build your reputation. Reputation in the sense, real reputation, okay, not an image. Reputation wherein you must be identified by everybody as an incorruptible officer beyond corruption. That is another thing you should learn from your Divya Akka. All these aspects, now itself you must start thinking of yourself, this is my character like that. So later on, when you really become an IAS officer and hold different positions, you will be of service. Okay, that humility, gratitude, approachableness, simple lifestyle, and also, incorruptible, all these are equally important. There is no first, second, all that. All these qualities are there in Divyadharshini. That is why I'm telling, please, when you look at her, think of all these habits. And my aim is actually, not aim, my desire is, after, learning so much from Divyadharshini or Senior Akka, many of you should be police officers. And at some point of time, Divya should tell me that, ma'am, from Seoul, my junior, she or he have come here, and she's got such a good reputation. Not only in job, you do the job well. That I don't care about that. But you must have that, reputation. Divya should tell me she's got a blemish-free reputation, high reputation. Nobody can do anything to her. That should come. Even one student, if you all get that name, and Divya tells me the program that I'm organizing now, it is success for me. Okay. And my dear Divya, thank you so much for immediately saying okay and coming. I know I can call you anytime you will come. And thank you for the affection and all that. I have no words to tell about it. And I know our association will go for a lifelong time. And before I retire, I hope I call you once more. And then, juniors, you will be motivating and inspiring. Thank you very much. Deepika? And now I invite Professor Dr. Harita Devi to felicitate our Divyadharshini. Mute.
Harita ma'am, you're on mute, ma'am.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you, ma'am.
A warm welcome and good afternoon to one and all present here. Today, as a teacher working in School of Excellence in Law from 2004, it's my proud privilege to welcome today's guest, Mrs. Divyadharshini, to this webinar. In fact, to be honest, we all know civil services is always a dream project for anybody. It's an attractive and challenging career to the ambitious, the aspiring, and the talented. Till today, I remember the day when one fine morning I was just reading the newspaper and I could see somebody named Divyadharshini in the newspaper saying she has secured number one in civil services career. Really, first as Umda ma'am was telling, it sparked me. Somewhere I have heard this name, and then only I started reading that full news and said it's School of Excellence in Law student. Oh my God! Till today, I remember. I honestly tell this. I just wanted to tell Divyadharshini every time. I felt as if my own daughter or son was in that page. Really. And even recently, when she posted in the Facebook about her hoisting the flag for the Independence Day as Ranipet collector, I just called my daughter and son and said, "See, this is my student. This is where you should stand. This is success." Really, I felt I was telling this with tears in my eyes. Even always, I feel as if my own child is standing there. A hearty congratulations to Divyadharshini. And civil services offer a very attractive career to any student, especially to law students. Whenever we go to class and ask in the first year why you chose law as a career, immediately the answer by many of the students nowadays is, I want to become IAS officer. So, as we know, civil services offer an attractive and challenging career to the ambitious, aspiring, and the talented. This service encompasses all, that is prestige, job security, salary package, opportunity for foreign tour, job satisfaction, and etc. etc. But more than all that, I see that the this service, that is the selection as civil service, is very rigorous and only a handful is selected out of hundreds and thousands of aspirants every year. Because we read in news that every time so many thousands are applying every year, but only very few reach that position. But it is this position which gives us an opportunity to serve the common man of this country. Law is itself a profession like that, but lawyers as civil servants definitely can do much more in the upliftment and empowerment of marginalized sections of society. And a dream doesn't become a reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work. Hard work is necessary in order to attain success in all aspects of life. Nothing comes to you without putting in work. Dreams do not materialize but through consistent action. As our Vice Chancellor has rightly pointed out, success isn't it always easy, and the road to achieving it can be bumpy. Even in case of our guest today, she had told that she achieved this in the second attempt. But even some of the world's most successful and famous people, including our J.K. Rowling, Steve Jobs, or anybody in that picture, they overcame their challenges before they became someone whose name almost everyone would recognize. Nothing is more effective than consistency when it comes to making your company or your performance or any profession to stand out. In a sense, it underlines the message you want to convey to stakeholders and all others that it is consistent hard work. I add that it is consistency that will bring about success. It's a way to go forward with confidence and belief in yourself. It's not too easy, but neither too hard. Right amount of effort would pay good results. You know who said this? It is none other than our Divyadharshini. When she took the first rank, someone asked whether IAS is very tough. She said it is not easy, not too hard, but right amount of effort would pay good results. Hard work, dedication, and perseverance will always give you what you deserve. These were her own words. So, these are the words to our aspiring IAS officers or aspiring students for IAS also. Believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will believe in you. Have the courage and confidence that make it the next time and work sincerely in achieving what you have set out for yourself. This also was said by her in an interview when she was asked whether your first attempt failed, what happened, and all. But she said, it is perseverance and it is believing in yourself. As திருவள்ளுவர் said, உள்ளுவதெல்லாம் உயர்வுள்ளல், மற்றது தள்ளினும் தள்ளாமை நீர்த்து. எண்ணங்கள் உயர்வானதாக இருந்தால் அவை நிறைவேறாமல் போனாலும் மனம் சோர்வடையக்கூடாது. And I end with the quote, work hard, let success make all the noise. Yes, for Divya this will apply exactly. As a student, she was very silent, but her success made all the noise, and we all are talking about her today, and the entire district is looking forward for her efforts. All the best for all her future endeavors, and once again I thank her for coming here today and spending time. You all will be very eager to hear her. Thank you. Thank you, Divya, and thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That was indeed a warm felicitation of our guest today. We have now reached an integral part of this webinar. Before I hand the stage over, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our speaker, Madam Divyadharshini IAS, for taking time and making effort to illuminate us regarding a topic that would be beneficial not only to the students of the present, but to the future of the society as a whole. I request you, ma'am, to deliver the special lecture on career in civil service for law students.
ஏதோ நான் க்ளோஸ் பண்ணிட்டேன். இப்பதான் ஸ்பீக்கர் பேசுறாங்க, 3/4 மணி நேரம் பேசுவாங்க எங்க ஆளுங்க. 2 மணிக்கு ஆரம்பிச்சு 3 மணி வரைக்கும் ஸ்பீக்கரை பேச முடியல.
Good evening, everyone. Before I go on to the lecture, I go on to the lecture, I would like to thank the university, my alma mater, for giving me this opportunity. To all of the speakers before me, including the Vice Chancellor, the Registrar in charge, Mr. Ranjit sir, HOD Business Law, Madam Kumutaratna, Department of Environmental Law HOD in charge, Madam Harita Devi, and the moderator here, Deepika, for giving me this opportunity. I am just overwhelmed and humbled by the felicitation given by all of them. I would like to thank them again. I'm happy to say that all 4 of them have been my professors, including our respectable Vice Chancellor. He's also been a part of our lecture life, wherein he has taught us a subject. So it was really nice to be back here. Though I would also like to mention Ranjit sir's request of being there back. I mean, getting the request of being in university to give the address a few times. I could not be there because of my schedule. But I'm happy that this virtual meeting, and happy to COVID, that this has happened virtually, and happy to meet all of them again, though not in person, but virtually. Thank you all. I'll be going into the lecture. I think, Deepika, is my presentation viewable by everyone?
Yes, ma'am. It is viewable, ma'am.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you, ma'am. So let me proceed. I'd like to ask Deepika. I'd like to ask Deepika to just mute one speaker.
Yes, ma'am. We are looking into it, ma'am, right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, please.
See, he's still talking. Identify who it is and mute it, please.
Or please remove the speaker if he is disturbing the entire lecture.
Please mute yourself. Janeshwar, please mute yourself. Janeshwar.
No, it's not about Dhyaneshwar. It's somebody else, not from the university.
Okay, let me start. For one person, civil service is a career option for law students. When Kumudha ma'am asked me to speak to the students here at SOEL about a topic in law, I thought let me take this opportunity to give them an avenue opening for their career regarding civil services. So regarding civil services, I'm not able to Deepika, can you help me to move the slide forward?
I think Bhagavati is doing. Bhagavati, taking care of this. Bhagavati?
Yeah, okay. I think I'll be able to make it now.
No, she will do it.
Yeah, now it's possible now. Yeah, I'm able to do it now. Okay, so there are various career options. We have had a lot of people talk to me before in the previous sessions, like Deepika, one of my friends who spoke about air and space law. We had Jenny Shaw speaking about corporate practice and her practice in the in the United States, United Kingdom, and Mr. Hari Radhakrishnan talked about GST. And now I'm going to give you, out of the lots of career options that's available, including legal practice, corporate sector, judiciary, teaching. And now, one other thing that would be possible and would also be what we'd be talking today would be, and civil service is a career option for all you law students. So why would you want to go to talk about civil services? What is civil services? See, civil services as a whole started, this nomenclature of civil services was distinguishable during the during the British times, where we had to distinguish between an army service, that is a defense service, and a civil service. So this name, a nomenclature of civil services, continues from the British legacy, and we continue to hold the same. Though, as a whole, when we see civil services, we would like to classify it into two. One would be All India Services, and another would be the other Group A services. So, what are the All India Services? The All India Services would include three services: the Indian Administrative Service, the Indian Police Service, and the Indian Forest Service. Of the three, I've shown the Indian Forest Service in a different color just to distinguish that it would be by a different set of examination, because the requisites for the Indian Forest Service are a little bit different from the other services, because it's quite technical in nature, depending on the job nature. The other services are generally considered to be generalistic services. So Indian Administrative Service, Indian Police Service, and Indian Forest Service, these are considered to be All India services. There's also a reason why these are called as All India services. These are called as All India services specifically for the reason that you are recruited by the central government through a common examination. You end up getting deputed to work to a state government, that is the cadre on which you are born, but then you always represent an all India perspective. So that is why you're called as an all India officer. So you will be deputed to a state representing the central government. You are a central government staff, but on deputation to state is how you will see it. And then you will be working in the concerned state where you are being born, and then you continue to work there until you retire from service. In between, you will also be ending up or going back to your alma mater, in the sense of your central government, for deputations to gain knowledge and share your field experiences for policy matters and policy devising whenever and wherever it is required, and then come back to your state cadre to do the service at the policy level and at the field level. So these are two services, though there is one common examination now for the All India services and the Group A services. Previously, that is when I was writing the exam, the Indian Forest Service examination had an entirely different recruitment procedure, including all the three sets of three stages of examination. So now for the All India services and the Group A services, including the Indian Forest Services, there is one examination. The Group A services are nothing but, as we have mentioned, that an IFS officer, you would like to be an IFS officer abroad, representing the country in the international arena as an ambassador or a secretary for a particular nation. Then you would like to choose your career as an IFS officer. Then an Indian Revenue Service officer as an income tax, or in central excise and customs and central excise. There are various other services. There are reasons why you end up to these services. It's depending on the rank that you get. It's depending on the options that you give, and on the considerations that finally adduce like the reservation and other things that or the vacancy position that opens up, that will also allow you to land up in wherever or whichever service that you end up in. So all India services and group A services, generally the Indian forest service is considered an all India service, but people mistake Indian foreign service to be an all India service, but it is not. All India services only mean these three services, because as an IPS officer, similarly as an IAS officer, you're born on a particular cadre, and as an Indian Forest Service officer, you are born on a separate cadre. For example, me, based on my rank and my option, I ended up in a cadre called Tamil Nadu. I am born on this cadre. Similarly, some of my friends ended up from Tamil Nadu, getting selected from Tamil Nadu. They ended up in Karnataka or Kerala or West Bengal, depending on the choices that they had given, and depending on the rank and the vacancy available in each state and or each cadre. So this is how the civil services examination happens. Let me go into detail and come back to the slide if needed on clarity basis. So what will be the career progression of an IAS officer? Generally, let me take it very generalistically as an IAS officer, but it would be similarly for every other service also, including an IPS officer, where you start as an SDM, that is a subdivisional police officer, and then you become a district SP, and similarly. See, as an IAS officer, I am giving an equivalent to the state government and the central government. But as an IAS officer, you will be initially posted in the state government. But there are equivalents of a state government rank to a government of India rank. So, as an assistant secretary, I will be under an assistant secretary training. For example, once you get into service, you will be under 2 years of training, wherein you will be called as an assistant collector. Thereafter, you will be called as a deputy secretary rank officer after 4 years of service, wherein you will be a sub collector. After your training, you end up being a sub collector. You will be managing a subdivision, which is a part of a district. So I've just mentioned what is each rank meaning, but ultimately, what are the roles that you will be playing is a sub collector, a subdivisional magistrate, a sub collector. You will be doing your first role. Then you will be ending up doing a district role, that is as a district magistrate or a district collector. Then you will progress on, depending on your seniority, to be a director, that is a HOD, that is for a department. In a department, there are multiple HODs. You will be adding one directorate, being a HOD for that. And also then you will be ending up based on a seniority of 15 to 17 years, you will be secretary for an entire department. In the state level, we don't have ministries, we only have departments. But at the central government, that is the government of India, we have ministries, wherein the ministries are divided into departments, and each department will have directorates and so forth, so on. So this is just to give you an idea, because when I entered service, I didn't have an idea of what would be my career path after I finished my district collectorship. To be very frank, this would be, I think there not be people who are preparing for civil services are not as naive as me when I entered service. But this is the career progression I thought everyone should know. Here, you can end up being a chief secretary if you enter service as early as maybe 25 years. If you have a service of roughly about 30 to 32 years, you will end up becoming a chief secretary cadre officer. Not necessarily the chief secretary, but you will definitely become a chief secretary cadre officer depending on your seniority. And similarly, if you have all capabilities and all your stars line in position with all your seniority of 30 to 35 years, you would also become the cabinet secretary. Why I'm mentioning these two posts specifically is that the chief secretary is the topmost civil servant in the state government, and the cabinet secretary is the topmost civil servant in the government of India, that is for the country as a whole. So these are posts that every civil servant, once they get into the service, would like to strive and work hard towards. So this is where after you get into service, so before entering into services, the three words IAS or IPS or IFS, depending on your interest, that will be your end line. But after entering into services, these posts are what you would like to, because of the holistic view that you would be taking, and the decisions that you would be taking for the state as a whole as an administrator. So next would be going to the next slide. Eligibility criteria. I'm just jumping into the eligibility criteria for the examinations. educational qualification wise, anybody having a degree that is a 3-year degree course by a recognized a university will be eligible to take up the examination. I would like to mention here, since ours is an integrated course, especially for the BABL's honor students who are taking up the examination, after your 3 years of examination, when you're given a provisional BA certificate, I don't know if it is still continuing in the university. We got a 3-year BA certificate after completing the 3 years of college. And then with that provisional certificate, we were able to apply for the examination. So anybody willing to take up the examination or willing to give an attempt at the examination before taking the examination seriously after your 5th year, you can take up the examination after the 3rd year itself. Basically, you should have a degree in your hand when you take up your mains examination. That is the criteria. So even if you get qualified after the 3rd year, you will not necessarily be able to take up the examination for the mains, but at least if it will be a trial practice, whether to see where you stand and where you can improvise. So I remember some of my batchmates, some of my friends and batchmates, we all decided to take up the examination after getting the provisional certificate of 3-year completion, because that gave us the base of how to approach the examination, where did we have a shortfall, where did we have to improvise and everything. So basic degree is the important educational qualification. There is no mark qualification like 60%, 70%, 80%, grade 1, exceptional educational outstanding is not a requisite. You just need to have a degree in your hand. Age and relaxations and attempts, I will go with it together. For a general candidate, maximum age limit would be 32 years, and you would have an attempts of six attempts to clear the examination. For an OBC candidate, you have some relaxations in both age and attempts. You are given 3 years of relaxations, and you will be having similarly 3 years of extra attempts to clear the examination. And for an SC and SC candidate, the maximum age limit is 37 years, and you can take n number of attempts until you are 37 to clear the examination. This we are stating here specifically because we have seen a lot of people give up examination after trying it for 1 or 2 times. I have seen a lot of people a lot of people who are my friends in service who entered the service on his last attempt, but luckily got into the IAS itself, which was their dream. So perseverance, as Harita madam said, I would like to say from the day one till you clear the examination, that's the one word that should be your driving force if you are really, really serious about this examination and also about this profession. So for a general candidate, it will be generally 32 years and 6 attempts, and 3 years for the OBC in relaxation in age and the number of attempts. And for an SC and SC candidate, SC and ST candidate, 37 years and n number of attempts until you attain the maximum age limit. And okay, this is a big number, 10,65,552. This is a number of people who take up the examination every year. So this is whom you compete with. These are number of people with whom you compete with at every stage of the examination, especially at the preliminary stage. Yes, that's why this examination is called as one of the toughest examinations in the world and in the country, because of the competitiveness of the number of people that you compete with. 10 lakh people take up this examination every year. In the preliminary, you have roughly about 10 lakh people take up this examination, but ultimately, the number of people who get selected to the mains examination would be roughly about 12,000. So look at the competitiveness examination. That's why I always use this word that this examination is not hard. This examination is just competitive. You just have to be in the top 12,000 to go to the next level. It doesn't matter whether you are the first in the preliminary examination or whether you are the last 12,000 in the preliminary examination. That doesn't matter. It matters that you have to be in the top 12,000. I'm just giving you rough numbers to give you an idea of how competitive this examination is. Out of the 10 lakh people that apply for the examination, we have roughly about 60% people actually writing the examination. That is roughly about 6 lakh people writing the examination, of which we actually see out of our personal experiences and people with whom we take up examinations. A rough perspective would be roughly about 60% of those who take up the examination would be attempting the examination very seriously. So your basic thing would be, out of 5 lakh people, you have to be in the top 12,000 to clear the examination and be eligible to take up the main examination. I'm trying to put the scary part before, because I think this is the reality that should strike us hard, on how hard we have to prepare for this examination, how much of hard work and dedication that we have to put into this preparation to clear the examination. It definitely matters that it is this hard, because ultimately where you end up is not a position that everybody would be given a chance to take a go at. For example, at the age of 32, I've become a district collector. You would not be given this position, you would not be given this position to lead a district of 12 lakh people or 13 lakh people of any other, in any other job nature. This is because of the competitiveness of the examination and the rigor process that you go through, that ends up giving you the responsibility that you are being given once you clear the examination. So the mains examination, out of the 12,000 that go through, roughly about 1/10 of the people that actually clear and make it to the final cut. So out of the 12,000, you have 20% make the interview, that is 2,000 people, and out of the 2,000, that is twice the number of actual selection go to the interview. So it is actually the cream of cream getting passed in every layer of the examination. So out of the 10 lakh people who actually apply for the examination, we have only 900 to 1,000 people, depending on the vacancy available in each year that is being notified during the examination. You have only, out of the 10 lakh, you have 1,000 people getting through cleared from the examination process. So that's the important part of this examination. So you have to understand, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to say that if I can do it, I think everyone can do it, because I'll also be saying it in the successive slides as to why I am saying the word that if I can do it, the others can do it, because there was minimum guidance that I could get as a law student taking law optional, what to study, how to study, and what to reproduce. So all this without any guidance, if I could top the examination, I think everyone who have, as Kumuda madam had said, who has gone through the examination of your CLAT and CLAT and then got through in SOEL, is also capable of getting through this examination with only a little preparation and a lot of hard work and dedication. Examination pattern, I'm mentioning it specifically for one purpose, because today you might be in the first year or second year. When you take up the examination pattern might also change a little bit. I'm saying it from the perspective that 10 years before, when I took up the examination pattern was a little bit different from the examination pattern now. So when I took up the examination during 2009 and 10, my final year of college was in 2009 when I passed out. I took up the examination twice, in 2009 during my final years, and in 2010 when I actually cleared the examination during my second attempt. So there was a preliminary examination wherein we had an optional subject. But now you don't have a optional subject. You have a preliminary examination wherein questions are based on general knowledge and CSAT. We call this examination a CSAT based examination because it's a civil service aptitude test wherein you have questions similar to your CAT examinations, wherein your analytical ability is also being tested and not merely your knowledge. Secondly, in the mains paper, we used to have two optional subjects. So I had taken my optional subjects as public administration and law. But now the examination pattern has undergone a change, and now there's only one option being law. One option for the examination. So you could choose anything that you want. I would be substantiating why, as a law student, you have a higher probability of choosing law as an option and being successful. And then personality test. Yes, personality test continues in the same format. Only marks, there's a slight difference of 25 marks being reduced in the overall weightage. Now, ethics is a paper because the service also insists on the importance of ethics for the service and people getting selected from the service ultimately. The process of examination is 1 year. That's why I said I took 2 years to clear the examination. The entire process of examination takes 1 year. Usually, the notification for the examination is given in the month of February or June, February or March, wherein you apply for the examination. The notification states how many vacancies are there in this year's examination, 900 or 1,000. And then it goes on to state when the examination schedule is. So usually the examinations, preliminary examination is in the month of June. And then after giving the examination, which is 1 day, the morning session would be the preliminary test, and the afternoon session would be the civil service aptitude test. And then you go on to your mains examination, which will usually be in the period around October and November. And then after the results of which would come during late February or early March. And then you will have your personality test, more popularly called as the interview. But I would always prefer the word personality test. UPSC also prefers to call it the personality test and not merely an interview. We'll tell you why it's being called a personality test and not an interview. And then the results of which would be published in May. So basically, if I am very confident of writing the examination, I would apply in June. I would, if I pass through the 2 stages of mains and interview, I still would not know whether I would clear the examination. I end up applying for the next year examination. When I wrote the examination both the years, I ended up applying for the examination for the next year because I made it a point that I would give this examination until I cleared it. So this is a 1 year long process. So if in case you falter at any one of the places, you clear the preliminary examination, fail in the mains. I am using the word fail. Maybe I'm wrong. If you falter at the place of mains, then you cannot enter the examination the next year at mains. So each year your cycle closes. You have to start afresh. You have to go to the start line and then start afresh for that year's recruitment process. So this is how this examination is laborious. That's why we would want to make it that everyone who is appearing for this examination should have a bit of perseverance to not give up in between and then continue to strive for what you aim to achieve. So the level 1 of the examination, preliminary examination, let me be, all of this is available, but I thought I would just touch on everything because if somebody is not able to decipher it out of the web, I thought I'll touch on all of it. Paper 1 would be general knowledge, wherein you will have questions on everything that is available in the syllabus, which will have 200 marks of the paper. The weightage for the paper will be 200 marks. It is an MCQ based question paper, that is multiple choice question. Each question would be given 4 options, and you would be given an optical marker sheet, OMR sheet, to mark your answers. That will be finally valued. So paper 1 in the morning session will be of 2 hours, 100 questions. So each question will have 2 marks of weightage. The paper 2, the aptitude test, will be of again 200 marks. It will have 80 questions, 2 hours. It will have a weightage of 2.5 marks per each question. I'm just mentioning what are the syllabus for each paper. Generally, the preliminary is considered to be everything under the sky. So looking at the syllabus, it's a rough syllabus which says current affairs or events of the national and international importance. It would say history, geography, Indian polity, economy, general issues on environment, ecology, biodiversity, and everything. So which means that everything under the sky would be under the purview of civil service preparation. So you need to be an all-rounder. It is not necessary that you know everything. It is necessary that you at least have a basic knowledge about everything. You need not be an PhD in every subject that is mentioned here, but a basic understanding of all the points mentioned here, all the syllabus mentioned here, is what will make the cut for the examination if you are to clear it. So this will be available. The detailed syllabus will also be available. It is CBSE based. That is, these are school level based knowledge for any person. So a CBSE school level examination book of a 10th or 12th standard acquaintance is what is required to clear this examination. But as I said, current events of national and international importance, you need to be updated. Updation is what is very, very necessary for this for clearing this examination. You need to be updated. You need to be knowing about what is happening about around you. You need to be aware about your surroundings. Not as a spectator, you need to know details as to what is happening around your surroundings. For example, the US presidential elections, you not only need to know who's contesting, you need to know what is the process of election. just an example about how we lose out. We will read a newspaper, we will know who's contesting, which party, who, and everything. But we need to understand what kind of election is US presidential election. Is it a direct or indirect election? What is the tenure of a US president? Whether can he indefinitely stand for president for n number of times? Whether it is permissible. All these details is what would be required of an candidate who's preparing for the examination to be aware of to clear the examination. Next will be the civil services aptitude paper. I would say that I had prepared for this examination paper because I was the last batch which did not appear for the new pattern of examination with CSAT. So when I cleared, we were the last batch to take up the examination with the old pattern. The civil services aptitude test paper is a new paper that has been included on the because of the change of pattern of examination. But I had prepared for it, so I knew what it was. It is basically like anybody who taken an CAT paper, CAT examination. So you would have comprehension skill. It will test your analytical ability. It will test your mental ability on general mathematics. It will test your decision making process. It will test your logical reasoning as to how and why you would arrive at a particular conclusion. This paper is also entirely multiple choice based. So you will be only marking out your answers in an OMR sheet. It will not be a detailed examination. It will not elaborate written examination. So these two are the preliminary examination papers. More about this, as I've already said, is an objective test paper with an OMR answer sheet. There is a negative marking that will make the UPSC determine who is a serious candidate, who is a non-serious candidate. Basically, you get a penalty for every wrong answer attempted and wrong. So if you are not attempting a question and then it ends up, if you're not attending a question, then you're not penalized for not attending a question. If you're attending a question and if you end up getting it correct, yes, you awarded positive marks, but you attempt a question and then you end up getting it wrong, you are given a negative incentive for it. That is 1/3 of the marks. It would be deducted for your negative answers. So the preliminary examination is not about going in and just getting a bit of luck. It is about a calculated effort. So anybody attempting the examination cannot go inside the examination, attempt all 100 plus 80 questions and say, I would clear the examination. It is about how many positive marks for the correct answers have you got. So in this examination, you have to take a calculation as to how many questions do I know for sure. Maybe out of the 100 questions in the general paper, I would know some 40 questions for sure that are correct. How many should I take a risk on? So maybe some 5 questions, 10 questions, depending on the paper, how easy or difficult the paper is. How much of a risk should I take on attempting not so sure questions? For example, I would know on the 4 options that are given, I would know it should be one of the 2. It should either be A or D. I'm pretty sure that it is not B or C. So should I attempt this question or not? And that calculated decision is what makes you to finally come out successful in this examination. I've seen a lot of people who had known 60 questions, for example, 60 questions in the 100-mark paper, attempted 60, they would have actually come out successful. But they did not come out successful because they attempted another 30 questions on the risk basis and they got a negative incentive. So this is basically about how much of a risk are you willing to take and should you take that risk to clear the examination. This decision should be taken. It cannot be given as an whole. It cannot be given solidly by saying that this year you can attend 30 questions, you will clear the examination. This year you can attend 40 questions, you can clear the examination. It cannot be said blanketly like that. That decision has to be taken by the individual because it is more about being competitive. It is about the people writing the examination with you. Your intention should be to maximum questions that you know you should attend, and you should also take that risk of answering how many questions should I take the risk to clear the examination. So for example, during my preliminary examination, I had known roughly about 50% of the questions for the prelims. I had written marked the correct answer for the 50% questions. I had taken a risk for 10% questions, and ended up not answering 40% questions. So that's ultimately what determines. So this is for my year's question paper. This question paper, same percentage would not apply for this year's question paper. It would not apply for tomorrow's question paper. That risk has to be taken by the candidate in that given circumstance during those 2 hours as to what is demanded out of you in that circumstances. So preliminary is more about taking that risk, knowing more, and also not attending questions that you're not very sure about. So here the click would be you should be able to answer confidently that more number of questions. You should be able to take a slight risk by taking a bet on few questions that you are partly sure about. And thirdly, not attending questions that you have no idea about or you have no clue about. So that would be rewarding finally when the ultimate results come for the preliminary examination. Level 2 of examination. So after 3 months, when you give the when you finish your preliminary examination in June, you should not end up for preparing for the examination. That is one beautiful thing about this examination, and also sad thing about this examination is you cannot stop in between. You continue preparing for this examination. So after June, when you give this preliminary examination, you start preparing for your mains. There's no point about worrying about whether I should have attempted more questions or not, because you don't know whether you'll clear the examination. It's more dependent on people around you, how many questions have they attempted, and also depends of how much of risk you have taken. So after June, you start preparing for your mains examination straight away. You don't pause till your preliminary examination result, which will come after 2 months. And after your preliminary examination, you will be left with just 1 month to start writing your main examination in October. So in the level 2 of examination, just a few pointers. It's a detailed examination. Eligibility criteria will be that only people who have cleared the preliminary examination will be sent the online application form to fill up for this main examination. Detailed application form is what DAP stands for. This will be sent by UPSC to the candidates who have cleared the preliminary examination. And this exam has 9 papers, all of which are subjective, unlike the preliminary exam, which is entirely objective in nature. Of these 9 papers, 2 papers are only qualifying in nature because they are not taken for your final ranking or mark weightage. So these are the 2 qualifying papers. This might actually seem a little bit funny to see these 2 papers, English language and Indian language. But let me be straightforward in telling you that certain students have failed to clear Indian language papers. For example, somebody would have taken their mother tongue Tamil. They would have studied it till the 10th, and they would have taken French or some other language in the 11th and 12th. They would have had left a touch with that subject for some time, but they could not go back and clear this examination, and ultimately their papers were not valued for the mains examination. So unless you clear these 2 examinations, marks are not important. There's a minimum cutoff, that is your basic knowledge and ability in the language is being tested by asking you to write a small essay, by reading comprehension and answering questions on the reading comprehension, by a précis writing. You're being asked to convert a 10 sentence passage to a 3 sentence or 4 sentence passage, a translation simple from an English language to an Indian language or an Indian language to English language in the Indian language paper, and small grammar and basic language usages. Say, for example, synonyms and antonyms in an English language paper, or similarly in an Indian language paper. These are basically 10 standard knowledge. Nothing needs to be prepared. If you, for example, if my mother tongue is Tamil, I took my Indian language paper to be Tamil. So I did not prepare even a little bit for this paper. It was basically your understanding and your comprehensive ability for the language. But unless you clear these 2 papers, the other 7 papers in the 9 papers would not be valued. So this is like the basic, again, like a prelim. So this language ability is what determines. I've seen a lot of people who did not clear these examinations, these qualifying papers, language papers, and ultimately their papers could not be valued. Not to threaten you, we've seen a lot of people who had not taken mother tongue as their language paper. Some people, for example, some Tamilians would not have reading and writing comprehensibility in the in their mother tongue, but they would have learned Hindi or some other language in some other in some other language during the schooling. They would have taken that subject as an Indian language paper, but they could not clear the examination because they've left touch with the subject, because they have not used that language in the normal course. So basically, it's a basic examination testing your language ability. You need to understand what is said in that language. You need to comprehend and reply for what is being asked in that language. It's a basic paper, but just a word of caution, not to be taken slightly easier. It just requires a little bit of knowledge of the language. That's all. Not You're not going to be asked about some literature. For example, you're not going to be asked about Tolkappiyam or Purananuru in Indian language paper in Tamil. You're only going to be asked to write about maybe something that's going on in the current affairs. Maybe something about Tamil Nadu. Write an essay about Tamil Nadu. Write something about Presi writing would be given on some subject, and you need to write it in Tamil. That's all. That's in simple English translation. This is actually very easy. I'm just trying to threaten you because I've seen a lot of people take it very easy and ultimately could not clear the mains examination. Next would be the weightage for the main papers. This is where I would like to give you more. Essay paper, General Studies 1 and 2, General Studies 3 and 4. The fourth paper in General Studies would be the Ethics as a paper that I said has been recently added. The optional subject, paper 1 and paper 2. You could take any optional subject. For now, we would, for this purpose of this presentation, it would be law. So I'll be dealing with how law is an optional. You would be writing 2 papers. So, but this will be the 7 papers. I've also given you the syllabus, the link for the syllabus of all the optional subjects and the general studies in detail also, which you can go in after this presentation is shared. If you would like to have it, I would also like to, I'll share the presentation with Deepika, who can share it with others who are interested. So next would be essay paper. Essay paper would be as easy as a school essay or a college essay that you write. This is just about 1,000 words essay. You write an essay for 1,000 words. 2 essays is what is required. So ultimately you get valued on each essay. So these are just wisdoms. Wisdom finds truth. You write 100-word essay on this topic. Or values are not what humanity is, but what humanity ought to be. So this is a subject on which you will be writing 1,000 words. It is to see how you will be able to express your views on a particular subject or on a particular topic. And there will be some topics like what I've mentioned below. These are some of the topics that were being asked for the 2019 last year's main examination for the essay paper. So it's as easy as it. Just that you need to express your opinion or express your views on the particular subject is what is required by the examiner. So this is what is your general studies papers is about. General studies 1 is about Indian heritage and culture, history and geography of the world and society. General studies 2 is about governance, constitutional polity. It's basically our Indian constitution is what is required here. General studies 3 would be on science, technology, economic development, biodiversity, security and disaster management. Paper 4, as I said, would be on ethics, integrity, and aptitude. It will be asking you, the paper 4 would be on to test on your decision-making skills. What are the ethical decisions that you would be taking? Whether an ethical decision would actually be required in a particular circumstance or not, and what are your justifications for the same would be the key ascertainment out of this paper from the General Studies 4 paper. So the optional subjects, there are a lot of optional subjects. One is always put to a confusion as to what is the optional subject that you are or to choose. There are a lot of optional subjects like agriculture, animal husbandry, botany, chemistry, civil engineering, commerce and accountancy. These are all the subjects on the left of your screen are all technical subjects. So basically, unless you have a degree in these subjects, the syllabus of the subjects would be little difficult for anybody without a basic degree in the same. But the subjects on your right, I've deliberately put it in such a way that the subjects on your right are basically art subjects. a person with any basic graduation can take up these subjects, spend some time to study the subjects, and then actually clear, select it as an optional to clear the examination. Anthropology is one of the popular options now. I've never seen a person who's done his basic graduation in anthropology and take this as an optional. But I've seen a lot of medical students, a lot of people who have even taken law have cleared the examination after taking anthropology. Geography is one. History is another one. Philosophy, public administration, which was also one of my options, which is also a very, very easy and a susceptible option for every law student, because the syllabus is more or less covers a part of our polity and a little bit of theory that we also study in the first and the second years of our public administration papers, that I think is still a part of our syllabus in the college. Political science, sociology, and there are roughly about 25 to 30 optional subjects that can be chosen by any candidate. Apart from this, you have 25 literature subjects, language literature subjects, that could also be taken as an option. I've seen a lot of people take Tamil literature who come from Tamil Nadu, wherein you are asked about Sanga Ilakyam, you read scriptures, you read Kavidaigal, Aprama Nammaloda Kadaigal stories, a lot of writers from Tamil literature, and all this is comprised in the part of Tamil literature syllabus. So each of these subjects have a syllabus. These syllabus, I've given the link in the bottom. You can click on this. It will lead you to us to the UPSC website, which will show the syllabus of the subjects that are each listed out there under, which is also mentioned in the notification of the examination that is published every year during February or March. So law as an optional. So let's jump into the arena where we actually wanted to talk to all of you. Law as an optional paper. So everyone here, including me, had the dilemma, or still having the dilemma, as to whether should I take law as an optional subject. I have done law. I've studied law as a graduation subject for 3 years or 5 years. Now, should I take law as an optional subject for civil services? why why is it that this question pops out is mostly because law as a subject, you do not have a lot of institutions which give you tutoring for preparation for civil services with law as an optional. Lot of general subjects like management, philosophy, or public administration, sociology, history, geography are being taught as a subject by many of the institutions. But none of the technical subjects, that is which require a graduation, are being taught in many institutes. So people ultimately end up thinking that since I will not be having any guide or anybody to tutor me or tell me whether I'm right or wrong to take this path, end up choosing a generalistic subject like geography or history or public administration. But I think I was very wise to take that decision, because I had spent almost 3 to 4 years 3 to 4 months on deciding whether I should take law as one of my optional subjects then. So then I ended up thinking and making the decision for myself because of the following reasons. If I'm going to take one more subject on which I do not have a base on, and end up preparing for that subject fully, I might not do justice for the subject, and I might not do the justice for the preparation. Second thing is, I have studied the subject for 5 years. If I'm going to be given the question paper today and asked to write about it, I will be able to do a little bit of justice to write this examination, write to this paper for clearing the examination. So I also thought that nobody other than me, in the sense of other than a law student, would do justice to this paper for an examiner to say that yes, I have understood the subjects clearly. And for a student who is studied in SOEL, which is very academic in nature, that is almost all the subjects are being taught. It continues to be so during my time, and continues to be so even now. Do so even now. So I think it is a wise option for any law student to actually choose law as an optional. You do not need any person to guide you. You need not fear that people studying with you in a particular institute or a particular place where you're studying for your general studies has not taken law as an optional. It's you who finally determines whether it is a successful option or not. I'm happy to say that I have seen a lot of people message me, mail me, saying that we had this dilemma, but even last week when I met somebody, he said that he taken law as an optional only after seeing my name that it could also be done. So I'm happy that I made that wise decision. A lot of people cleared the examination with law as an optional. In the last year's selection list, I also found a person who did not have law as a graduation, but ended up taking law as a subject and cleared the examination and is in Indian administrative service now. So it is actually only the inclination or the liking for the subject that matters and not the syllabus. I was also misguided by a lot of people saying that when I was trying to take the subject, that you had to study a lot, you had to write a lot of case laws. That is, for every 60-mark question or something that is being asked in the examination, you have to end up writing 60 case laws. This is all based on a wrong premise. This examination only tries to check up or analyze your understanding of the subject and not your knowledge about the subject. Your understanding and knowledge, I'm very, very particularly using these words because your knowledge is cannot be reproduced entirely in that 3 hours of examination that is given to you, but your understanding of the subject can definitely be given in that 3 hours in which you're given the time to show as to how much you've understood the subject or the question on which, I mean, the subject on which the question is being asked. So it becomes very, very necessary that you need to have a certain understanding of legal jargons that only you can understand. It is very easy for a law student to understand these words, the questions that being asked. I still remember the question papers of our law college examination during our semesters, which much easier than much harder than the questions that were being asked in the civil service examination. I still remember Kumuda ma'am's questions being asked as to elucidate, explain, and different words that we had to, I mean, find meanings then to understand what is expected of the question. But finally, that is what all means when you take up this subject as an option to clear the examination. Okay, so why is an optional? I tried thinking more about cons. I could not get any. For a law, for law as an optional, for a law student particularly, familiarity of the subject. The entire syllabus is known to you. It is not required for you to know all the 10 semesters of subjects that we have studied. It is very, very particular on the syllabus. Unlike your general studies paper, which is very everything under the sky, your optional subject papers are very to the syllabus. So whatever is there in the syllabus is what is being asked in the question papers finally. So familiarity of the subjects gives you an edge. Coverage in GS papers, yes. Your subjects of Indian polity, the constitutional paper, or the Indian, administrative law subjects like separation of powers, or something like natural justice, whatever you've studied in your administrative law, everything will be asked in your GS papers, in your Indian polity, both in your preliminary and in your main papers in the paper 2. So law is, as a law student, I've never had difficulty understanding Indian polity. So I've never prepared for Indian polity, particularly during my preparation days, with so much weightage that I had given to other subjects. So that coverage will also give you. And also it will be very important to note that some of these subjects or concepts that we study in law will also be some of the questions that are being asked in your essay papers. So I ended up writing an essay which was based on an administrative law like separation of powers or something like that, which was actually helpful for me in scoring more marks in my essay paper, which gave me the edge also in getting my rank. Thirdly, very application based. That is, you need not, you just need to pinpoint to the question being asked. You need not write everything under the sky. We used to write 600 words to 500 to 600 words in our college examinations during our semesters. That is not what is required. You are writing an answer for maximum 150 words or 250 words, depending on how and how much marks the question is valued at. It's very application based. You're being asked problems to be solved, just like what we are being asked during our semesters, examples and how the problem will be addressed or what will be the decision taken upon. And lastly, legal terminologies or jargons gives the edge not only here but also in the general studies papers that are being asked. Cons, as I said, I could not find as a law student what would deter you from choosing law as an option. If anything, anybody could also mention it in the chat, but I could not find any. I could not also find any after interacting with a few people who have taken law as an option. So, and law paper one is basically three subjects that we have studied in our college. One would be constitutional law, second would be administrative law, and third would be international law. So this paper is roughly about 250 marks. The subjects that would be asked in this paper would be, yeah. So in constitutional and administrative law, you would be given the syllabus. You can go back and find the syllabus. It is basically everything that we have studied under constitutional law and administrative law in our college syllabus. So it is basically the entire subject, that is the entire constitutional article A to article Z. Entirely that would be under the syllabus, and administrative law, a minimum part of it, that is basically subjects like separation of powers and how would natural principles of natural justice and theories of administrative law that would be asked. Syllabus is very, very easy actually. Actually paper one is, I think, is very easy to understand. Ended up the same being in our college days. We write this paper very well, but end up scoring less. But the other paper two, is actually vast in nature, but you end up scoring well in paper two because of the direction of the questions being asked. The second subject in this paper would be international law. The entire international law 1 and 2 in the syllabus that I had prepared. I think it's the same what is being in the syllabus now also. The entire international law. So this paper is about 250 marks. I've also put in some questions that are being asked from these papers so that you understand what is required out of this preparation. So, and paper two would be, let me skip to 2 slides and go back to some of the questions of previous years. So these are the questions that are being asked from paper one. Say, for example, audio alterum partem, what I've been mentioning. This is the question that's being asked. Audio alterum partem rule is a very flexible, malleable, and an adaptable concept of natural justice to adjust the need for speed and obligation to act fairly. So here you justify as to what audio alterum partem is and the need of following the rule to meet the ends of both speed of disposal of the issue in hand and also this justification and obligation to act fairly. This question is just 10 marks. What is required for anybody to write in this question would be something around 120 to 150 words of answer, wherein you justify what is audio alterum partem and why is this statement correct, and you explain with 1 or 2 case laws, just the verdict. You need not write the subject of the case law and the facts of the case law, just what and how this question is, and the statement is justified by the case law that you are citing. So 1 case law or 2 case laws maximum with the justification in entirely 150 words will fetch you maximum marks in this question. The second question is the issue of parliamentary privileges. Again, a part of administrative law again a part of constitutional law. Part of parliamentary privileges has been a bone of contention between the parliamentary and the judiciary. This case specifically asks you to analyze this in the background of decided case laws. So we have decided case laws, so you need not cite recent events. You can go with established case laws. Write 2 case laws. This is again for 10 marks. This was asked in 2019 paper. So you write again for 120 to 150 words. What I mean for 10 marks would be 1.5 sides of an answer. So it's basically about time management in these papers. It's not about how much you write, but whether you are writing it to the point. Third question would be about international law, the right to seek asylum and territorial jurisdiction of states. This again, they asked you to establish with respect to international humanitarian law. So you touch on the base of human rights and the right to seek asylum and correlate it with territorial jurisdiction of states, and whether a state is under a liability or an obligation to give asylum to anybody who is seeking it. So this is how this question is based. This paper is entirely easy. It's entirely based on the books that you study in your college. I don't think there is an extra requirement of going for extra books or extra extra authors to gain more knowledge on whatever books of MP Jain or R.N. Pandey that you're reading in would be sufficient to actually be enough to cover the entire syllabus. Going back, the paper 2 would be of law of crimes, wherein apart from IPC, you would be asked about two other important criminal acts, that is Prevention of Corruption Act 1988 and Prevention of Civil Rights Act 1955. This would be part of the paper 2, and you also will be touching subjects of law of torts and Consumer Protection Act 1986. There'll be the second part of this. The first part is entirely torts and crime. The second part of it would be contracts. You would be touching on law of contracts and mercantile law, contract of agency, sale of goods and hire purchase, partnership act, negotiable instruments act, and arbitration and conciliation act. These are this subject is why I said was a little bit vast in coverage, but actually the questions being asked in this paper would be relatively much easier because it is only from the subject that you need to answer. You need not refer to recent happenings as to what is in the current scenarios. Your reference need not touch base on the same. So and there will be some other thing that will be also a part of your paper too. This is contemporary legal developments. This is what makes I think this is what makes the cut on whether you will be successful on this paper. Public interest litigation, intellectual property rights, cyber laws, competitive law, alternative dispute resolution, which will also be covered previously in Arbitration and Conciliation Act, major statutes concerning environmental law, right to information, and trial by media. These 8 subjects, they may look very, very laborious. It will actually look like you're covering the entire environmental law, you're covering the entire competition law, and the entire cyber laws. But actually, what they require out of this is maximum out of these 8 subjects, you would be asked somewhere around 50 marks in the 250 mark question paper. What is required is your understanding of the subject. They are not going to ask you Section 28 of Wildlife Protection Act. They're not going to ask you Section 66A, specifically Section 48 of the Information Technology Act. But they might ask you something about 66A about Information Technology Act because of the importance that it refers to. So what is required is your understanding of the subject in these 8 topics, and that's why this paper 2 is much vaster in coverage, and it requires more time to actually detail out what is being asked. But actually, if you look at the questions being asked in this paper, it would be something like this. The contemporary legal developments, a lot of people avoid those subjects. 8 topics, people would give last preference to those 8 topics, but I think those 8 topics is what makes the cut. I remember me writing a question, me writing an answer on competition law, though we have not studied it in detail under our college, but I had glazed through the competition law just a night before the examination, and I could easily write 100 to 150 words covering the entire competition law. So that is what is required. Your understanding of what the act tries to say is what the examiners require from an per person taking law as an optional. So e-commerce has adversely affected the Consumer Protection Act in India. So elucidate the statement. They're specifically asking you to elucidate this statement. How Consumer Protection Act has been weakened by introduction of e-commerce, because there is no proper definition of buyer and seller, especially the seller in an e-commerce platform, because you do not see eye to eye. So the question of whether the Consumer Protection Act is weakened, whether it needs to be amended in terms of changing scenario of how commerce is being done and how a consumer is being viewed. You have to give the answer for this question in just a few words of 100 to 150 words. Second would be on cyber law. Elaborate ascertainment of jurisdiction. How jurisdiction is a very dicey subject in cyber law, because people are not on the same soil, People might not be in the same state. People might not be in the same city. They might be in different countries. How do you ascertain jurisdiction? Where should the suit be filed? And what are the tests being applied in the Indian courts by one or two case laws as to how? I've morely concentrated on the legal aspects part of that. That is the contemporary legal aspects part of view, because that is where a lot of questions are being asked, and minimum number of questions are being asked in other parts like torts or crime or contracts or mercantile law. A lot of importance is given to contemporary legal aspects of law, wherein you're being asked about environmental law, not about wildlife protection act in general, but they would ask a specific subject. Say what I mentioned about section 66A. They would ask specifically about how out of the recent judgment the section has undergone a change. What would be the implication of it? And do you think whether the act needs to be interpreted like this? Or say section 376 or section 375, how should it be interpreted, and whether it needs to be interpreted in the way that is being done currently, and whether LGBT rights should be recognized, whether the recent Supreme Court judgment on LGBT rights and IPC, whether do you find it in the right understanding? Should we be more liberal in our approach? This will be your analytical ability, and how you understand whether you are thinking rightly is what is being ascertained out of the entire thing. Thirdly, we have seen a lot of this, a lot of problems being posed to you, and what will be the outcome? You just justify the same. We have 6 into 2 in 6 into 2 12-mark questions in our semester papers. Same is being asked. It's again a 10-mark question. Whether what is the crime being committed? Do you think that the person who has committed the crime should be convicted, or whether he would be left out, or whether if he has committed a crime, what is the crime that he has committed? So basically, this is what is being expected of the law paper. These are the questions. None of the questions in the law paper, I would like to insist again and again, tries to check up how many case laws you know in a particular subject. It is your understanding that is being tested in each of these each of these questions on a particular subject. And how might be you would be give your opinion on certain current events relating to law, based on recent developments. So that is what is required in the entire preparation. So basically, before I go to the next part of personality test, I would like to sum up on law paper. I would say that my preparation strategy, I would not say was the best, but it turned out to be the best for me because I have a very photographic memory. I tend to remember what I write with my own handwriting. So what I ended up doing was I took out all my college books that I referred for during my semesters for law examination for a particular paper. I set out to refer 2 or 3 books, then make out a particular note for me for each topic. Then I only revise them during the examination. This is how I set out to prepare for the examination. I think each one of you will have your own strategies to prepare notes for it. But I think law as a paper is not very hard. I mean, the important decision that any person who has law as a graduation subject with a base graduation subject would be, should I take the subject? This is the biggest question. Once you take that decision of taking the subject, I think it's much easier to approach this subject than any other subject that you would be choosing other than law, especially the arts subjects. For law as an optional, it is very easy for a law student to choose this. I think no law student, unless he's not very confident of legal concepts, should avoid this from his choice as an optional subject for his civil service examination if he chooses to write one. Personality test last. So I said why it is not being called an interview and it's only being called a personality test. Basically because interview is different. Interview tries to check your knowledge. Personality test is a step more than an interview. It tries to assess your personality. It is not to test your knowledge. Your previous 2 stages of examination has already done that. The preliminary examination and the mains examination is already done and tested your knowledge. Now what they would like to test in the interview board is basically your personality. How as an individual you're being empathetical, where does your empathy lie, whether you're ethical, is what the personality test tries to understand. You have 5 examiners, 5 interviewers, just like that on the top of the slide you will be approached by all 5 of them. You'll enter the room on a circular table. You'll be post questions. Basically all the questions would be from your DAF, your detailed application form you fill in during applying for your mains examination. In the detailed application form you will be writing about your school background, you'll be writing about your graduation, you'll be writing about a lot of things like what would be your interest in, what are your hobbies and everything. Then there'll be some common questions like why would you want to enter into civil services and everything like that. What they would like to understand is your reasoning ability, your clarity of expression in the entire thing, your understanding of socio-economic problems, and what decisions you will be taking on certain instances that the interviewers will post to you on the exam, on the day of personality test. Your communication skill, whether you're able to think quick, whether you're able to communicate what you have thought quickly with clarity, and your confidence with which whether you're being put to test. In a lot of questions, when you give a wrong answer, it's not wrong to give a wrong answer in a personality test, but how you handle it. And it is always good to accept if you do not know an answer for a question in a personality test. I ended up scoring good marks in my personality test, but I remember answering more than a couple of questions that I did not know the answer for. That is the honesty and ethical part of it that they would be ascertaining and scoring you on, and not whether you have known the subject about, or the subject knowledge that they would be testing you about. And finally, your leadership skills, that will also be tested by 1 or 2 questions that they post on. I would like to say 1 or 2 questions that they asked me about on my personality test. They asked me about what do you think about right to information act, whether the act is a bane or boon, and how do you think, because in 2010, when 2011, when we went for the when I went for the interview test, there was this law, Lokpal, Lokpal bill and the protest for Lokpal bill going on, and the Right to Information Act was also being amended and proposed then. So they were asking questions about right to information. They were asking questions about Lokpal bill. They asked some situational questions. So one of the situational questions asked to me was, you are a district collector, so some of the ladies from your district come and ask you or approach you with a certain problem. What would be the solution that you give them? So these are some of the situational questions. These questions are being asked to not to throw a googly at you. It is just to check up whether you will be able to think and act as quickly as possible. If you're not able to, you can ask the interview board for a few minutes or few seconds of permission to recollect your thoughts and collect them together and then give your answer. So it's basically about, I would say, if you have a good personality, you should reflect it. If you do not have one, make up for it. And thirdly, if you have a bad personality, please hide it. Nobody, I would not call anybody having a bad personality, but certain traits of ours might be might not be liked by others. If we have such traits, we could actually try to avoid it and not showcase it during the interview date. I would not say that a person having 1 or 2 bad traits should not be selected or could not become an administrative officer. It is more so because of the intention that you post that should be the base for why you become an officer ultimately. So a personality test is basically a easier part of the examination. If I had to grade the entire examination of the 3 parts, it should be like the preliminary is a more tougher part. I would give 60% weightage to the preliminary examination. I would give 30% weightage to the main examination and 10% weightage to the a personality test. This weightage is not based on the ranking or the amount of marks that you will be graded on. This weightage is based on how much of effort you need to put into. The preliminary examination is the place where you put in the maximum amount of effort because of the competitive nature of the examination, and you need to be out of the 10 lakh, as I said, you should need to be in the top 10,000 or 12,000. So you need to tutor yourself more. You need to prepare yourself more for that examination to be in the cream of cream. And then the personality test is much easier. If you have a good personality, it's much easier to clear the examination. More so, it is being yourself. If you're a very confident person, reflect yourself. If you have doubts about yourself, you can definitely work about it. I was not very much of a confident person when I took up the examination. A lot of my professors know me as a very timid person, very docile person, but I think a lot of effort had gone into how I am being now, or how I presented myself during my personality test. So it is actually good to make up, good to find you where you lack in and then build upon it. So basically, to sum up the entire examination, the preliminary test is only a qualifying test. Your marks are not taken up for final ranking. The main examination is a descriptive text, descriptive examination. You have high weightage in ranking for this examination, because the entire paper of the examination consists of roughly about 2025 marks, on which your rank is based. Out of the 2025 marks, your 1750 marks come up from your written main examination paper. The interview test, the personality test, is at roughly about 275 marks, wherein your personality is being tested, and you'll be graded upon it. So basically, only your mains marks and your personality test marks are added for your final ranking. So your high weightage in ranking might be because you might have had a good writing practice or time management in your examination. But if you falter in your personality test, then it will actually be a big setback, because you will not be shortlisted in your final ranking. So this is the examination pattern about. Finally, key to success, as everybody had said, smart work. I would not say hard work. Smart work is what is needed. I did not spend a lot of time. When I had seen a lot of people clear the examination, or I had people say that you need to prepare for 18 years per day to clear the examination, it is not required. What you need to do is you need to do smart work. Why I'm saying smart work is, I used to prepare all my notes. I never prepared for the examination. I prepared my notes. I studied for the examination only during the last 2 months. So my preparation, a lot of my hard work went into preparing smartly for my notes, and then ultimately reproducing it during my examination last few days during my preparation. So smart work is needed. You need not, I again insist that you need not study 18 hours. If you give me a book, I would take maybe 10 days to complete the book. If I give the book to one of you, you might even finish the book in one single night. It is depending on how each person responds to a particular text. So find out books that read to you. I always answer. I always was in search of a lot of books. I used to pick up 4 magazines for civil services, but then after 1 or 2 months, I understood that only certain books communicate to me. They do, certain books do not communicate to me. So then I ended up choosing and reading only those books. So but those books, that decision on which books to choose has to be taken by you. So finally, do a smart work. Time management, both for preparation for exam and during the examination, is very, very important. Time management, you end up writing one question in detail, then you lose out on other questions. You have to attempt every question in your paper. That is very, very important to clearing the examination. Determination and perseverance. This is because the examination is very laborious. 1 year is not a very short time. You need to have a lot of perseverance. A lot of people will deteriorate. Like to put you down, saying that you might not have it in you to clear the examination. It is only their understanding about you. It is not what defines you. So ultimately, it is you who have to prove that you have it in yourself. Like a lot of my professors say, a lot of my family members did not put me down, but they did not think that I would top the examination. I never thought that I would top the examination. It only matters that you give your best self. It is not your ultimate aim to top the examination. It is your ultimate aim to end up in service and do what you want to do in the service. It does not matter which rank you gain. It matters what you do after whatever that you have achieved. So this determination and perseverance is very, very important. uh, Belief in yourself is what I've already covered. Work, study, and play. I have always made it a point, even during my preparation days, that I will not always be a bookworm. I will not be a bookworm. I always took my weekends off to go to meet my friends, go for a movie, play, take interest in whatever I was doing. I did not miss any of my family events. But ultimately, that decision needs to be made by you. I used to make timeline of what I need to cover in this particular week, I used to make it a point that I made up for it by completing it early, or made up for it by ensuring that I secluded time. I kept time apart for managing both. So both study and play. Don't be a bookworm. Be yourself, but give your best effort. That is what is required to clear the examination. Actually, VC sir, Shastri sir made me edit my slides and put this slide also. Your role as an administrator, as sir said, it is very important you understand. I've already added a slide saying what will be your position, but your role as an administrator is entirely different. As a legal professional, you definitely have the edge. A lot of my seniors, a lot of my bosses say that with legal profession you can do wonders when I entered service, but actually I experienced it now. I'm keeping on experiencing it. You definitely have an edge. The way you think after having a legal law graduation is entirely different from what you were before. Your process of thinking is entirely based on points. That is, if you are a judge, you will ascertain the entire problem on problem one. This is a solution for it. Problem two, this is a solution for it. All this would be done by you. You're taught actually. You're not taught as a subject, but you're taught inherently to analyze a problem with the legal backing and to arrive at logical conclusions, which definitely do not violate the constitution or any other part. As a your role as an administrator start from being a sub collector or a subdivisional magistrate, and also proceeds up to being a chief secretary. Importantly, you are not only a subdivisional magistrate, you are also an executive magistrate. You are not only a district collector, you are an executive magistrate. As an executive magistrate, you take a decision as to whether and 144 needs to be promulgated or not. You, as in subdivisional magistrate, you take the decision whether this death is a dowry death or not. This death, whether it needs to be ascertained as a dowry death or not. That decision, that capability of making that decision entirely rests on a legal platform. So these actually help you with a legal background, being a better administrator than others. I would definitely and proudly say that this legal backing has definitely helped me to my paths in the last 10 years, and also will be helping me in my future also. Lastly, I think I've spoken much. I would leave some part for some of you to ask some questions on. Secondly, I have mentioned my mail ID for some of my juniors who are very serious on. I would not even, I would actually propose one more thing. If somebody who's very interested in taking law as an optional and want more guidance, like you want a paper to be valued by me, to say that whether your approach on writing the answer paper is right or not, I would be very happy to do it. We can start a small WhatsApp group on if everyone is serious. Maybe somebody can take the lead and start a small WhatsApp group and discuss as to how we can prepare for the examination. And last but not least, I'm not the only civil servant or only person who have cleared the civil service examination from School of Excellence. There are a lot of other people who have cleared the examination, even in the small history that the college owns. I have my own batchmate. I have my own friend Ilakya Karunagaran, who is an IPS officer in Karnataka now, who is SP Kola Goldfields now. I have one of my juniors, Nandakumar IRS, who is in Bangalore now in the IRS Customs. I have also met recently Saraswati, who is also in one of the Group A services from our own institution. So far I can at least see and see a lot of people who have come from the institution and added laurels to the institution. We would also want to see a lot of other people who are here, who are having a similar intention of coming into services, be with us. Maybe we can still be friends or juniors during our interaction in our government service. So Deepika, I'll hand it over to you to pose any questions that our participants have asked.
Thank you, ma'am, for that edifying lecture. We have a few questions, so I'll just take them up in the order they came in. Firstly, we have the question: do we have the option of taking any language, ma'am, or should it be that the Indian language has to be our mother tongue? Is there a compunction on us like that, or
No, there is no compulsion on taking any language. Basically, but I would suggest that, see, for example, a lot of my friends who had Tamil as a language, but studied until their 10th or 12th with Hindi as in a language, took Hindi as an optional language paper. This language paper option is given just to ensure that every person coming in knows at least one of our Indian languages,
Okay.
one of
Okay,
our
ma'am.
Indian languages. That's all. So it is only a basic qualifying. So it is not necessary to take your mother tongue always, but it is necessary or also wise to take any language that you're comfortable with.
Next question, ma'am, from a student called Jay Mitra. She asks, wherein a question for interpretation of law is being posed, would it be possible or would it be allowed to give an interpretation that has not been previously thought of? A different take on a particular law where the question is asked.
Definitely. But would you be willing to take that call? Because you have to express a different call on what the examiner has not intended to ask of that question. But you are venturing on a different arena. You are not given that liberty to answer elaborately in the given time. You would be wise to take the decision, but are you willing to take that risk of doing an exceptionally well job in that one question and losing out your time for the other questions? So you can take a different stand. You are allowed to take that stand, provided you are able to give your justification for taking that different stand within the different given the defined word limit and the time management for the other questions. You are allowed to take any stand provided you justify it.
Thank you, ma'am. We go for the next question, which is by another student called Prakriti. She is asking if a thorough understanding of the UG syllabus alone would cover all the aspects for papers of UPSC, barring a few exceptions, like how we said geography or general knowledge, like that. So, would the syllabus, thorough understanding of the syllabus, cover the entire UPSC papers? Is what she wants to ask.
For optional paper, yes, only UG level is required from every optional subject, be it anthropology or be it medical sciences or be it engineering. What is required is undergraduate level. The syllabus is also based on undergraduate level only. For other subjects, that is general studies papers like geography and history and everything, what is required is at school level, roughly about 10th to 12th standard, even including science. It is not required at UG level. Only that during descriptive papers, you need to have an understanding of the subject and not only fact based. For your preliminary examination, you can be only entirely fact based. You need not have an understanding. Only facts can make you clear the examination. But for your main examination, since it's a subjective examination, you have to have an understanding. It is the same school level examination. It is not an undergraduate level examination for the general studies papers.
Thank you, ma'am. What subject would give an edge in civil service exam for a honors student? Is the next question. Like, is there a specific subject in choosing subjects for honors papers? Would any particular subject give an edge in the exam, or would it be same for all? Is the next question.
Subject is basically your own personal interest. For example, my own strategy of choosing my optionals. Public administration was my first optional. Law was my second optional. So why I ended up choosing public administration was my first optional was during my preparation days. I had to study for the first optional for both my preliminary and main. So I took that wise decision of, because I'm doing a new subject, I wanted to give more time for understanding the subject during two phases of my examination. So I ended up taking the new subject of public administration during my preliminary and main, and ended up taking my second optional law during only my main examination, wherein I will have lesser time to concentrate on it. See, basically, the choosing of the optional paper is very, very tactical. I am again saying the word tactical because you have to decide before venturing into this war zone as to what your strategy should be. You can take any subject. You can take geography. You can take history. At one point of time, it used to be that everybody said law is actually a negative subject. People do not get people do not get selected if they take law. There is no negative list. There is only a thing of how was your understanding of the subject. So, if as a law student you decide to take a subject like history or geography or management, and if you have interest in the subject, say I have interest in management more than law, but I ended up doing my law graduation, that does not need necessarily for you to take law as an optional. So basically, the interest in subject. The one thing that I mentioned before, the subject should relate to you. You should relate to the subject. That matters more than whether you have a graduation in it or not.
Thank you, ma'am. What would be your take on extracurricular participations like role of moots and model United Nations in preparing for UPSC? Is another question that's being asked, ma'am.
I prepared for no moot, but I think I had made the wrong decision of not doing so. Preparing and presenting for a moot especially helps you in building your confidence level. It makes you a better presenter on any subject that you're being given. It is required. So, if preparing for your civil services, you need not give off your any basic interest. I said you need not give off even your personal time of going to a movie or pursuing a sport. So, I don't think you need to give off anything like moot if you are personally interested in it. It'll actually be an added feather to your cap during your detailed application form filling up that you haven't attended a moot. But it doesn't. You don't have to thrust it upon yourself if you're not interested in it. Basically, it's your own personal choice. If you want to go for a moot, yes, you can do both. You can go for a moot. You can also prepare for a civil service examination simultaneously. It does not deter you. You can. I as an examiner would be happy to have somebody who's prepared and presented a moot and also applied for civil service examination and has mentioned it in his detailed application form.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. One more question was that most of the students pursuing law are afraid of arithmetic and chemistry and physics in the general studies paper. So, how to deal with that fear is another question that's being asked.
Um, Chemistry, physics, and all is 10th standard. We have all crossed that part and come here. I've not mentioned anything about UG level. What physics and chemistry is being asked is not very technical in nature. You are just only brushing up. I used to say that if had we studied our school education with much more interest and not mark based, you need not need any preparation for this general studies paper at all during your UPSC preparation. So basically, since we did not do it well then, we did it only for mark perspective. I think we have to redo it. It's not very difficult. I am not a person who was very confident in economics. I was not a person who had any knowledge about economics before I started preparing for it or any interest in the subject per se. But then only a basic understanding of the subject is done. Second would be civil service aptitude test. It is not very difficult. What max is asked is a small Venn diagram with what will be the possibility of what is the outcome, or a small basic LCM and HCF, a small fraction problem, a train problem, whatever we have done in our 6th standard, 7th standard, 8th standard. So it's not very difficult. It's not even up to CAT standard. It is not even as difficult as clearing your CAT examination. It is much easier than that.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving such well-rounded answers for all the questions. So we've now reaching the conclusion of the session. Uh, I would like to say that feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping up a present and not gifting it. I now request one of the major pillars of our webinars, Abhishek, to deliver the vote of thanks.
So thank you, Deepika. So this session has given a good message that my devotion towards determination determination, commitment, devotion, consistent hard work, attitude, never ever give up, continuous perseverance will always pay off. And this kind of session is the need of the hour. I thank the Department of Business Law for organizing this wonderful session. The session has of UPSC, and it is a preparation strategy for the upcoming civil service aspirants. Divyadharshini IAS, Ranipet district. Wonderful session. Thanks. Very informative and presentation was so good. And I thank Mudaratna Madam, HOD Business Law, School of Excellence in Law, Tamil Nadu, Dr. Ambedkar University, and Harita Devi Ma'am, and Ranjit Oman Abraham Sir, moderator, for her excellent moderation. And I thank the organizers, Sidhuja, Bhagavati Kenimalai, Surya, Kendral, Dhyaneshwar, Divyadharshini, Deepa Christiana, Virat, and Udaya. And I thank the technical support and the technicians, Mr. Ashok Kumar Sir, Librarian, Tamil Nadu, Dr. Ambedkar Law University, Mr. Darwin. I thank the participants for your support, cooperation, and active participation. Thank you, one and all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abhishek.
Thank you very much, Divya.
Thank you, Divya ma'am.
Finally, thanks. I would like to say thanks to everyone, especially the Vice Chancellor for giving me this opportunity, Ranjit Sir, Kumuda Madam, Harita Madam, all my professors who had been a source of inspiration for me throughout my career, throughout my preparation days also. I proudly would like to say that I used all my college notes for my preparation. Thanks to all of them for that. Thanks to Deepika, Abhishek for moderating this session and also giving the word of thanks. I would like to take this partnership in future. I would like to see more of my juniors come forth who has interest in civil services, being better administrators, and join hands with me in government service. Deepika can take the lead if she's interested to start this WhatsApp group and take it forward.
Yeah, Abhishek will be starting the group.
Yeah,
Because
anyway.
So I'll ask him to start the group.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. As we express gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them, said John F. Kennedy. Ma'am, we promise you we'll live by all your guidance and expert advice to make sure law students come up and clear the UPSC and serve this society better. Thank you, ma'am. I hope this end of the webinar is a new beginning for all of us. Thank you.
Okay. See you. We can have Divyadharshini. I'll also do the same.